Ethan, the ferociously ambitious and impressively talented writer who's at the center of our story, has just been offered a staff writing job at the Connector. And he runs into Robin and mentions this to her. And Robin is a longtime copy editor who is afraid that no one will ever really see her as being worthy of a staff writing job. So she watches Ethan as he makes his way through the Connector offices, and he's introducing himself to people and charming them and praising them and generally sort of working his way in. And as Robin watches this operator operating, she's trying to figure out if she's supposed to be attracted to him or learn something from him or be scared of him or maybe some combination of all three. And so the song she sings, I'm Watching You, is a song really about looking at something or someone from a bunch of different angles and turning it over and over, sort of like a kaleidoscope. Which made it a perfect opportunity for me to try something that I'd always wanted to do in a musical, but had never quite figured out how to pull off. And it's a musical technique called phasing. Phasing is a technique that was popularized in the late 60s by a composer named Steve Reich, and his influence is all over this show, and honestly, all over all of my work. If you've never played his piece Clapping Music, you should call up your friends and have them come over and do it now, if you're the kind of person who's going to do that. But it's amazing. It's a piece that's really easy to comprehend, but weirdly difficult to do and very gratifying and cool when you do it. And it doesn't take any instruments. It's just clapping with your hands. And ultimately, it's only one measure long. So that's clapping music. Phasing is basically an idea like two voices start in unison, and then one of them gets just a little bit faster until they are in canon with each other, like an extreme version of Row, Row, Row Your Boat. And then eventually, if it goes on long enough, it comes back into phase. So this website that you're looking at right here, this is a digital version of it, which is really cool, which is using the first motif from Steve Reich's piece, Piano Phase. Where I do it is here in between the verses of the song. And just to keep this all sort of thematically on point, the idea is that we start with a single, simple idea that gets more and more complex until it eventually becomes something like a cluster. I have to admit to something here. As much as I always wanted to do this and to play in a piece that used this kind of a technique, and it was really fun to do it, but I set a trap for myself, which is that the last measure of this sequence, it isn't this on the record, but in the show it's a vamp where we're holding for dialogue until I can cue the band to start the second verse. And the problem is that because of the phasing, I sort of lose my sense of where one actually is. And everybody's playing on a different beat, and then I hear the dialogue and I have to throw the cue so that we all land on one, except I'm not sure where one is or where the dialogue is. So I would sometimes not throw the cue in time, and then Hannah would go ahead anyway, thinking that she had missed the cue, and she would just sing, I'm watching you, because I would be late in getting in and catching her doing it. So I'm sorry, Hannah, there were a lot of nights where that happened. I'll get better at it next time, I promise.
Fun, laughs, good time.
One last little thing. At the end of the song is this note, this A flat.
I'm watching you.
which is my favorite note in the whole song. I think a lot of pop composers and musical theater composers are scared of really explicit dissonance. Like it's going to turn off the audience and they're going to say, oh God, what kind of horrible noise is that? But there are ways to use that dissonance to actually tell the story. And what I love about this particular A flat is that the audience follows it. They hear her sing the G, then they hear her sing the A flat, and it's really intense. But they know that it's not the end yet. They're waiting for the arrival, and I'm holding them in suspense. And then when it finally comes and she hits that A natural, there's an enormous sense of relief. And I'm trying to do the same thing that Robin's trying to do, is to fight my way through the complexity until I can make sense of it.